Good morning, friends. We are going to be working on a retelling nonfiction video with Miss McCollins from the Smekens website.
Stories or fiction text. We've been talking about how you have to find the most important information when you're reading stories. And that's usually the story elements, the setting, the character, problem, solution, and you have to put those things in order. Well, today's lesson is all about how to retell and summarize with nonfiction text. That's right. It's with informational text, the kinds of text that you will use when you want to learn about something. And so when you're retelling and summarizing for informational text or nonfiction, you have to still find the most important information, and you still have to put it in order. It just won't be the same order as what you do for stories. You see, with stories, you put it in order by chronological order, the time. You say first, next, last, and all that makes sense. But when you are trying to retell informational text, it doesn't always work like that, because nonfiction text can really be written in a variety of ways. And there's a lot of informational text out there that is an all about type of text structure. We call that main idea text structure. And so when we are reading that kind of text and we're learning all about something in science or all about something in social studies, we've got to figure out, what order are we going to put the important information in? Well, I've got a trick for you, okay? I have a secret. I have this dissected oval. You see, the oval is what I use when I'm reading a text and it's teaching me all about something like, let's say, a butterfly. And I'm reading all about the different stages of the butterfly, how it starts as an egg, and then it's a caterpillar, and turns into a chrysalis before it's ever a butterfly. And so I would list those details from that section of the book, and I would give it a label like the life cycles of a butterfly. Yeah, you'd have all of those things grouped together. That's what's important when you're doing nonfiction or informational text, okay? Those are just synonyms for the same thing. It's when the author's trying to teach you about something. So, well, tell me what else might be a group. Well, let's still think about butterflies. What if we were reading and it was telling us in this section all about butterflies having antennae and wings and a proboscis? Maybe there was even another detail about it having legs. So I would draw a line and I would I'd make another slice of my oval so it looks like another piece of pie almost, and I would write legs down here. Because just because there are 3 slices in my oval doesn't mean I can only put down 3 details. I can put down as many details as I need. I just draw more lines. So if I had antenna and wings and proboscis and legs, then I would label this body parts. And so when I'm reading informational text, I use these dissected ovals to really help me record the important information and make sure I'm putting it in order that they're grouped together. Okay, so now here's what you have to know. When you're reading informational text or nonfiction, that's a synonym for it, then sometimes kids read and they just use that reading voice the whole time. They just read the words, they just read the information about the butterfly, and then they get all the way to the end and then they say, I don't remember what I just read. People, you got to use that thinking voice. Remember that thinking voice? That's the one that talks to us about the passage. And it's even more important when you're reading informational text. You've got to read a section and then you've got to stop. What's the most important information we've heard so far? And then you've got to read a section and then you've got to stop. What's the most important information I've heard so far? And this time, when you're doing it, you're actually going to write down some of those important pieces of information as you're reading. Okay, so let's try this. I have my own dissected oval right here so that we can record some of these thoughts. And I've picked out a book that's an all about book. It's this main idea text structure. And so we're going to read it. It's about manatees. It's the perfect book for your age level. So the first part here is just kind of a riddle. Who am I? I have whiskers, but I'm not a cat. I nibble on grass, but I'm not a cow. I have gray wrinkled skin, but I'm not an elephant. Who am I? A manatee. So just a fun way to enter the book. But now here's the first section, and it's called Mighty Manatees. And then at the bottom, it says manatees often rest in groups. So let's read a little bit and let's see if our thinking voice will come up with any important details that we need to record. Okay, so I'll be the reading voice. Manatees are animals that live in the water. They are sometimes called sea cows. Why? Manatees are gentle and they move slowly like cows. They also graze on seagrass, just like cows eat grass. And then there are water words down there at the bottom. Mammal, an animal that has a backbone and is warm-blooded. It feeds its babies milk. Graze, to feed in an area covered with grass. Okay, so as we're looking at this first section, I'm wondering then, what are some of the important details? Well, my thinking voice is saying they're manatees that live in the water, but it's comparing them to cows. And so I think that's pretty important. They call them sea cows. And they do that because they eat grass and they move slowly. So I'm going to put that down here in that section. Oh, I can have more than just one word or one phrase. I want to put down some things about why they call them sea cows. Okay, let's go on. We're still in the same section. Manatees are big. They are usually about 10 feet long. That's as long as two kids' bikes lined up end to end. Wow, that is long. Manatees are heavy too. Most adult manatees weigh about 1,000 pounds. That's the weight of about 21 second graders. That's like a whole class. That's a huge animal. Okay, so now our thinking voice is going to say, I think I see some important details. You better jot them down on the dissected oval. So what's something that we're learning about manatees that is really important? Well, manatees are big. Okay, big. All right, I can put that down. But ho-hum, there's a lot of things that's big, right? You have a big sandwich. Is it like that? No, it's 10 feet long. I think that's really important. So I'm going to put that down. 10 feet long. They are really big. Okay, the next page then, what does it say? They're heavy. Okay, heavy like a rock? No, we're talking about 1,000 pounds, about the weight of 21 second graders. So 21 of you, that's how heavy it would be. So they're also very heavy. They're about 1,000 pounds. Wow, that's really big. Okay, so now when I look at all of these, then I'm thinking about how they're kind of big like cows. They eat grass, they move slowly. They're really big, as in they're long. They're really heavy. They're like 1,000 pounds. And so when I look back here, the title is called Mighty Manatees. So they are mighty. They are big like a cow, big in length, big and heavy. And so I could write mighty manatees. I could write that at the top because I could use that same label that's on our chapter. But I'm going to actually change it a little bit. I'm going to say mighty, and that's an and sign, big. Okay. So this is all about how big they really are. Big like a cow, big and long, big and heavy. Okay, so that's an example of how I'm going to collect details while I'm reading. Let's try another one together, okay? Let's try it. I'm going to add in another section here, okay? Super swimmers. Manatees can move their large bodies gracefully through the water. They swim upside down and roll. They even do somersaults. I'm going to read the caption. A group of manatees swims in Crystal River, Florida, USA. Now I'm going to read the rest of the page 11. Manatees don't like water that is too deep. They like to stay in shallow water in oceans and rivers. There they find food and warm water. Okay, so this is called super swimmers. So what important details are really standing out that are really important information that I need to put down in this next grouping? Well, it says that they can move their large bodies through water, okay, and that they swim. They just don't swim regular. They swim upside down and they roll. They do somersaults. I think that's pretty cool. They swim in a lot of different ways, not just in the regular way. Okay, so now what else are we learning? Manatees don't like water that is too deep. Oh, that's right. What do they like instead? What important detail did we learn about where they're swimming? They like to swim in shallow water. Absolutely. Shallow water. And they like it there too because it's warm. Shallow water is warm. So I'm going to add that as a detail. Let's keep going. See if there's anything else that we might put in this section about the super swimmers. A manatee's body is built for living in the water. I'm going to go over here. Tail is a large, flat, and round. It is large, flat, and round at the end. It moves up and down to power the manatee through the water. Eyes, they are small, but manatees can see well, even in cloudy water. Nostrils, manatees breathe air through these holes, but they close tightly underwater. Lips, they are big and strong. They wrap around plants and pull them into the manatee's mouth. Flippers, they help steer the manatee. They also bring food to its mouth. Okay, so if this group is all about super swimmers, then which parts of these details would be really important that I would want to put down in my retelling? So my thinking voice is noticing how it's a lot of body parts, but this one's really all about the swimming that they do. So I'm wondering about the tail. See the tail over here? It says it's large, flat, and round at the end. It moves up and down. So I'm going to put that tail. So it's large, flat, round, moves up and down. That's all about the tail. Oh my, looks like I'm out of pieces on my dissected oval. Well, am I all done? No, because there are other things on here that talk about swimming. So what am I going to do? No problem. Watch this. I can make another slice of my dissected oval. Okay, so let's keep going. Eyes, they're small, but they see well in the cloudy water. Maybe that'll help them swim a little bit. Let's go down here. Flippers, they help steer the manatee. They also bring food to its mouth. Okay, so steering is a part of swimming. And so my thinking voice is saying flippers. That's really important, right? So that it'll help steer the manatee. Is there anything else? Lips, they're big and strong. They wrap around plants and pull into the manatee's mouth. It's not really about swimming, but nostrils. Manatees breathe air through these holes, but they close tightly underwater. Whoa, I think that's pretty important. So I'm going to draw another line here so that we have a little bit more. And I'm going to put nostrils. Because they're mammals like you and I, they have to breathe air. And so they close underwater. All right, so everything that we've collected here would be important information. But remember, it's part of a group. And if I go back and look at the title, I see that it's called Super Swimmers. Well, everything in here really is about swimming, isn't it? So I might use that then as my label for this group. So this is all about how the manatees can swim. Okay, so they are swimmers. They're mighty and they're big. We've got these. They're mighty and they're big. They also are swimmers. Cool. Let's see if you can help with one. Let's try it. All right, let's go forward to the next piece. And this one is called Munching on Lunch. Let's see if we learn any important details about the manatee. Manatees are herbivores. They eat plants for about 6 to 8 hours every day. A manatee grazes on sea plants. That's the caption right down there. So we can see that in the photo. Manatees have no front teeth. They don't need them because they don't eat meat. Manatees have only large back teeth called molars. The molars help grind their food. And then a water word says herbivore. Herbivore, an animal, come on, an animal that eats only plants. All right, so now looking at these sections, are there any things that we want to include then for this grouping? Munching on lunch. What kinds of things do you see? Let's go back to page 14. Manatees are herbivores. They eat plants for about 6 to 8 hours every day. Do you see any important details we should add? Right. That really important vocabulary word, herbivores. Herbivores. I'm going to double check my spelling. I want to make sure I have it right. And so what does herbivores mean? Right, they eat plants. They eat plants. Anything else that we've learned about the herbivore here? Yeah, how long do they eat plants? 6 to 8 hours each day? That's a long time to be eating. Yeah, we eat about 1 hour each day. They eat 6 to 8 hours each day. That's a really important detail. Okay, what else did we learn about them munching on lunch? Let's look at page 15. Manatees have no front teeth. They don't need them because they don't eat meat. Huh, is that an important detail? Yeah, can you imagine? No front teeth. Could put that down. Anything else? Let's keep going. Manatees only have large back teeth called molars. The molars help grind their food. All right, so do you think we should add anything from that paragraph? Yeah, how should we start it? Maybe we should start it with the important vocabulary word. Molars, right? Molars. And what are molars actually? Yeah, teeth in the back. So back, teeth. Anything else we learned that is important about molars? What do? They grind. They grind the food. Okay, do we need to add any more lines for any more sections of this dissected oval? No? Okay. So this page is a lot of different fun facts. And there are some things here that I think are kind of interesting. There's one, the very first one, is also about their teeth and how they lose all their teeth through their lives and new teeth replace them. So if we wanted to add that part in here, we could. But let's think back to just this section. And so if we're learning about how they are herbivores, how they eat plants for 6 to 8 hours a day, and how they use their molars to grind the food, they have no front teeth because, let's go ahead and add that, they don't eat meat. And so this one's called munching on lunch. Lunch. I'm not really sure I'm agreeing with that label. What would be a better label for this group? It's herbivores. They use their molars to grind the food. They eat plants. It's all about what they eat. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Munching on lunch is a cute title, but I like what they eat. Or maybe how they eat. How about how and what they eat? Something like that. It's all about the eating, okay? So, guys, what we are learning today is how we can read through a section in an informational text, and we are able to really pull out those important details. And so our reading voice will read the passage to us, but it's our thinking voice that has to say, woohoo, this is an important detail. You better put it down. And so we've got to be able to recognize them and then put them in some sense of order. So here, let me show you something. Let me show you what happens then when you start putting all of these things together. Technical difficulties. Okay, so when you start putting all these things together, look what happens. They're mighty and big, and here are the details. They're swimmers, and here are the details. It's what they eat, and here are the details. Let me show you something. When you are going to do this for a whole book, then you want to put these dissected ovals in a way that you can actually see them all, okay? So watch this. Mighty and big. Everything we learned about that section, mighty and big. How they are swimmers, right here. Everything we learned from that section. How and what they eat. So all about their food, right? We learned in that section. And you know what, guys? There's even more. If we wanted to find out more, we could read the next section and we could fill out even more of these. Well, let me show you. There is a big tool that sometimes readers use, and it looks like this. Yeah, you see? It's each section, what you're reading about for informational text, with the label, with the group. And what goes in here in the middle? The title. What are you reading? So what were we reading about? We were reading about manatees. And look what we have here. We have a group all about how they're mighty and big, a group all about how they are swimmers, a group all about how and what they eat or their food source. And if we wanted to add another one, we could have another one over here. So it could have 4 sections. Or if you read a book that was even longer and it needed a 5th section, you could have 5 sections, however many ovals you need for the groups that the information is going to be in. So I'm going to add this to our chart as well, as a reminder that when we are reading informational text, we have to find the important information and put it in order to retell or summarize. And in this case, we'll use the all about groups with the dissected web. Now, if you were in Mrs. McCullough's class, here's what I would have you do.
Okay, friends, and now I'm going to read a book to you, so you need to watch the second video.